my parenting stereotypes. But anyway, now on a serious note, now that I've woken you up a little bit. On a serious note, I want to talk to you about my personal future plans. Inshallah ta'ala. That's actually my obligations in the United States. Many of you are familiar. I'm in charge of the DREAM program. And a good part of my year is dedicated to the students that commit themselves to the DREAM program. This year, alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah, I had the opportunity with my wife to go and perform the Hajj. May Allah accept it from all the Muslims. So when I came back, I felt I have more clarity about what I should be doing with my life more than I've ever had before. And I made some serious life decisions after coming back that I'd like to share with you, and I'd like to garner your support for those decisions, inshallah ta'ala. Okay? So the first thing I realized was, even though I really, really enjoy traveling and I see a lot of benefit in traveling, the real benefit that I've been able to give to anybody else or myself is actually virtually. Most of you have a relationship with me without me having a relationship with you because of the stuff that you've heard on the podcasts or YouTube or what have you. And there are a lot of important subjects that I feel haven't gotten attention in the ummah that need to get attention, that either need to get attention from me or people that are more qualified than myself, and I can facilitate those discussions, that I need to focus myself on. And so for that reason, I'm going to actually do my very, very best in the next, post-Ramadan, to basically discontinue travel as much as I possibly can, and dedicate myself to study and discussion and research, and actually putting together we're actually putting together a full-scale studio, a TV studio on our DREAM campus, so we can start producing things at a higher level, and really facilitating these discussions that I would really like to see come out in coming years, inshallah ta'ala. So I want to talk to you about the kinds of things I'm looking to produce in the few coming years. Inshallah, there's about 3 things I want to talk to you about, and then the final thing. The first thing I'm interested in producing is conversations. I believe the ummah is in desperate need of discussion. Not just lectures, but discussion. Discussion about the role of women in Islam, for example. A discussion about, I just had a little bit of a rant with you about in-laws, but a discussion about how to resolve, the marriage crisis in the ummah, and what Quranic guidance is there, and to sit down social workers and families and elders and youth together and have actual, really serious conversations about this stuff. I want to be able to have discussions about the complex last 100 years of the Muslim ummah's history. It's a complex history, and if we don't understand history, we won't understand where we have to head. And a lot of times we feel like we understand that history, but we don't. So we need to have people that have really dedicated themselves to understanding where we are in history and what our role is supposed to be going into the future, where our priorities are supposed to be, to facilitate that kind of, inshallah, rich discussion. Where disagreements are welcome. Where disagreements and opposing views are welcome, but at least there's a healthy place, a non-threatening place where those kinds of civil conversations can happen. I plan on doing discussions on what are considered areas of controversy for some. Some things in Islamic studies that some people consider controversial, like nasikh and mansukh. Some people are confused about that. Some people are confused about the role of hadith in Islam and things like that. So, and there are other subjects, inheritance law and how is it fair. What about the share of the women and things like that. But to actually have really insightful conversations, not just lectures, but conversations about these kinds of topics. The priority topics for me, I'll tell you now, the first one is women of the Qur'an. That's going to be the first discussion series. I'll probably do a lecture series out of that too, women of the Qur'an. The second one will be shame and shamelessness, which I think is a big crisis in the ummah. Then I'll do a series on fatherhood in the Qur'an, and then motherhood in the Qur'an, and motherhood in Islam. Because those are important subjects that we need a lot of help on. I hope I highlighted some things for you today, but the Qur'an has its own curriculum on fatherhood and motherhood, and we need to be extracting that for our own benefit, right? So these topical discussions inspired by the Qur'an is the next area of focus for me. Additionally, what I'm going to commit myself to for the foreseeable future, Allah Ta'ala A'lam, is, some of you have heard the Juz Amma podcasts? Yeah. Right? The Juz Amma podcast took about 1.5 years to complete. Right? So I would study a surah for about a whole week, full time almost, and then do the dars on the surah. But now I've decided that that's not enough. That format of study is not enough. I want even more in depth. So I'm going to be doing maybe 4 surahs a year, with the help of a couple of research assistants and a scholar or two, and put really comprehensive notes together. And I'm going to be teaching 4 ayat in 6 hours every week on our campus, like an in-depth study with an actual methodology for study, and recording all of that. This is not for the common masses, but students of knowledge, if they need something more in-depth, that resource needs to be available. In-depth Quranic studies. And my intention behind that is, what is my end point? This is the farthest I can study. In the next generation, that becomes somebody else's starting point. The furthest I could go is now the juice of my labor is something accessible to them very quickly, and now they can build on top of it. So the study and understanding and appreciation of the Quran is furthered in coming generations. That's the intention behind that. Okay? But the most important project that I'm involved in, I believe that's the top priority, the one I'm about to share with you now. The most important project I'm involved in, I believe there is a desperate need to guide Muslim parents in how to effectively teach their children Islam from the age of 7 to the age of 14, roughly, and to guide them on a day-to-day basis. To guide the Muslim parent on a day-to-day basis on how to teach Islam, meaning the Quran, the Arabic language, etiquette, mannerisms, du'as, the combination of all of those things, in a minimal time frame, maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes a day, and a study plan that's from the age of 7 to the age of 14, the result of which should be not just knowledgeable Muslim youth, but Muslim youth that have come to learn about Islam through their beloved mother, through their beloved father, that see Islam as something that transforms character, not just understanding. They see Islam as an ethical way of life, a moral way of life, not just a legal way of life, not just an ideology. Because the world is in a moral crisis right now. Actually, Muslims more than anybody else is in a moral crisis. I told you I went to Hajj, right? What I felt after Hajj? I felt that was the highest spiritual experience I've ever had in my life, and I've never seen lower morality in people ever. At the same time, Muslims are in a moral crisis. We don't understand knowledgeable Muslims, not just ignorant. You could say, oh, there's ignorance. No. Even knowledgeable Muslims don't understand what morality means. It's something simple mannerisms like, you're extremely knowledgeable, you're doing way more adhkar than I will ever remember. And you're drinking a glass or like a plastic bottle and you're just chucking it in Mina. Right? That is sacred land. By the time we're done with Muzdalifah, it looks like a trash dump. Who does that at Big Ben? Who does that at the Washington Monument? Who throws trash at the White House? Those are not sacred grounds, but people have respect for those places, right? This is sacred land. Look at it at the end of when we're done with it, at Hajj. Just take a look around you in the morning. It's depressing. There's a moral problem. There's a serious moral crisis. So I want to be able to address the tarbiyah aspect of Islam and combine it with Arabic studies and Quran studies, and not just address the ilmi side, but also the parenting aspects of it, inshallah ta'ala. And to do all of this in an effective way, here's my personal plan. It's called Bayyina TV. Some of you are familiar with it. It's at bayyina.tv. That's the address for it, okay? I plan on putting everything I'm going to be doing on Bayyina TV. The entire parents' curriculum, the entire Arabic curriculum. In 2 years' time, the entire Dream curriculum will be on Bayyina TV, inshallah ta'ala. And that's my way of making the Dream program international. I'll just certify teachers, and they can go anywhere in the world and use the curriculum that's already on Bayyina TV to execute and teach all over the world, because not all of you can come to the US. It's just hard. And I want to create something that lives beyond myself, right? And the way the format I figured out for that is Bayyina TV, inshallah ta'ala. It's a minimal subscription service. It's $11 a month from the dollars. I don't know what it comes out to in pounds. 8 pounds? 7 pounds. 7 pounds a month. And the point of it is, whatever extra stuff I keep adding in it does not increase to its price. It's just one resource that keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. One of the most popular services on Bayyina TV right now that excites me a lot is when I go home. Because when I go home, the first thing I do is Arabic class with my daughter, my eldest daughter, Husna. Some of you are doing Arabic with Husna. Let's show of hands, a few of you. Oh, good number of you, mashallah. So I teach her maybe 10-15 minutes of Arabic a day in a studio I made in my house. And my plan is to keep teaching her that way for the next 2 to 3 years. By the end of which, I'm not going to teach her in English. And we're going to be reading Arabic texts. And we're going to be doing I'rab of Quran at an advanced level. I'm in no rush to finish the curriculum with her. I want slow and steady, little by little by little, and we'll get there eventually. There are 20 units of study. Right now, Husna and I are in the middle of our 3rd unit. We're in the middle of Unit 3. Online, we posted, I think, up to Unit 2. The Tanayat of Kahf and the 1st unit, right? But eventually, there'll be 20 units of study. And my intention for posting that is not for children to learn Arabic only. Parents and children to learn Arabic together. You know, every one of those videos is to be supplemented by handouts so you can self-study it. You know, share those notes, take a self-taken quiz, look at the answer key, build a little bit of Arabic at a time. You know, and it's manageable, 15 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, it's nothing. I know, alhamdulillah, already there are Islamic schools in some parts of the world, like there are a couple of schools in Singapore, there's some in the United States, that are actually showing the Arabic with husna in the classroom, and then they're doing the exercises in the classroom. They've made that their class curriculum, you know. So I figured if I'm going to do something for my own children, why can't I just do that for everybody's children? You know? That was my intention. And so I feel, this is my final comments to you guys, I feel the most important area of Islamic education is not adults. I feel the most important and the most unaddressed area is educating parents and how to be parents that teach Islam. Islamic schools will teach Islam, masjids will teach Islam, videos will teach Islam, but the real Islam will be taught when mother and father teach Islam. You know? That's when real Islam will be taught. Mother and father have to teach Islam. And sometimes mother and father don't know how to teach it. They don't know what to say. They don't know what to watch, where to go. So that's what I want to do. I want to be able to create those resources so you can facilitate the teaching and the learning yourselves. Inshallah ta'ala. And wallahi, you know what my intention by the end of this thing? You know what? I'm a dreamer. No pun intended. So my dream for this thing is to have, within the next 2 to 3 years, 100,000 followers. You know, into the program. We have about 3,000 and change followers already. But to have 100,000 followers worldwide. And my vision beyond that is to, when we have that many followers, is to actually create entire TV production studios and start producing documentaries and films on Quranic topics. And to keep building this library. So it becomes this endless resource of a wealth of information on a variety of topics. And then what I want to do after that is even crazier. I want to, if we get to like 500,000 followers, then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to open up Bayna Dream campuses all over the world. And to it, yeah, inshallah. When we get there, you guys have to help me get there. You know? And when we get there, then the tuition will be free. Why shouldn't it be? The masses of people that are learning part-time are funding the few people that are studying full-time. There's not a single fundraiser. And nobody pays a penny without getting benefit from it first. You know? That's my philosophy for propagating Islam. I don't believe in fundraising. I really don't. I don't believe in anybody paying 1 dime or 1 pence, 1 pence, without getting something far more valuable in return first. You should get something far more valuable in return. And I believe we're in a position now that we can actually, the masses of us that are going to learn part-time, can actually, through our learning part-time, fund the few of us that are going to study full-time. We are in a very easy position to do that. It just needs to be supported. It's really exciting. Eventually, I'm going to, I told you I hang out with the rabbi? I'm going to record all my conversations with him. I'll put them on TV. Why not? I'm going to have conversations with, Christian ministers about their faith. Not debates. I'm not interested in debate. I'm beyond that point. Look, our religion, Muslims aren't going anywhere. Christians aren't going anywhere. They are a reality on this planet. Deal with it. What we can do is understand each other and clarify our positions to each other, and whoever is sincere will come to the faith. That's what we have to do. We have to clarify our position and not be apologetic. That's real interfaith dialogue. Interfaith means let me clarify my position and let me clearly understand your position and let me be very clear about where I disagree with you. I respect this rabbi a lot, Rabbi Hanan. I respect him. You know what he did last week? Or 2 weeks ago, he went to a church in Texas, in Dallas. That ain't no joke. That ain't no joke. He went to a church in Dallas and said, why are Jews mad at Jesus? That was his lecture. 1.5-hour lecture to 1,000 Christians. Why are Jews mad at Jesus? Like, whoa. That's pretty messed up. Why would you be mad at a messenger? But it's pretty gutsy. But I want to facilitate these discussions. And I want your support in being able to do so. I want to bring this service to places like Pakistan and Bangladesh and Europe and everywhere. The last part of my vision, and I'm done talking to you guys. This is the last part of my vision. This is maybe 6-7 years down the line, inshallah ta'ala, if Allah wills. What I want to do, here, please listen to this carefully, okay? I personally believe that most Muslims are far from deen. That's the reality. When I go to college campuses and speak to students, most of the girls in the audience are not wearing hijab. Most of the boys don't have beards. And they're there for whatever reason, but they're barely affiliated with the religion. And instead of getting angry about that, I have to acknowledge that that is a reality. And now if I don't acknowledge reality, I won't know how to deal with it. The other reality that's happened in the Muslim world is people that look a certain way or represent certain institutions, madaris, whether they be from Qura or they be from Medina or they be from Azhar or from Deoband or from Nadwatul Ulama, any institution of Islamic learning in the Muslim world. When people, ulama, come out of there, they have a certain stereotype among the average class of Muslims. They dismiss these mullah types just like that. These religious types. They don't know what they're talking about. And that is a phenomenon. I know that phenomenon because I was raised in that phenomenon. I was raised in a bureaucratic family in Pakistani society, which wasn't religious at all. And I used to think like that too. So I know how those people think. Recently I met a general from Pakistan at some dinner in the United States. And he was just talking, all these mullahs are such a problem, and all these people that are so extreme, and these women that were in niqab, and I was like, yeah, so bad, messed up. But let me tell you something. Here's what hasn't happened. My honest opinion is these people have a sour taste of religion in their mouth because they have experienced corruption from the religious element in their society. And they've been turned off from religion because of that reason. And you know what we need to do to counter that? I want to produce young, smart, articulate, well-educated in all the sciences, meaning maybe he's an MBA, maybe she's a doctor, maybe she's an architect, or he's a physician, someone like that comes and I train them in Quranic studies, not to become an alim, just to become an activist. Go and do Dars al-Quran in Turkish. Go do it in Bangla. Go do it in Urdu. Go do it in Punjabi. I'm doing the ones in English. You guys take every other language. Take it. Run with it. And take this message to the entire world. Reintroduce the ummah to the Quran. And if we can do that, you know what? Islam will then come to the society, Muslim society. Forget non-Muslim society for now. Islam has to be reintroduced to Muslim society. And it will come to society from a place they don't expect. They don't expect young, charismatic, educated, professional Muslims to actually represent the religion. There's not an expectation like that. You have to leave this dunya to be a da'i. You can't carry both. That perception doesn't exist. But we have to change that perception. And we have to show that the best of dunya is only accomplished when you have the best of deen. That's the new young Muslim role models we have to produce. And we have to produce these ambassadors. You know what that will do? Forget political change and economic change. Most importantly, this will, inshallah ta'ala, bring about a cultural change. When the culture of Muslims changes, everything else changes. Where we spend our money changes, how we think changes, our political affiliations change. Everything changes when a cultural change is brought into a people. And that's what we need to do. We need to bring about a Quran cultural society. People that think through the Quran, That's what I hope to facilitate, inshallah ta'ala. Myself and the help of other, really qualified scholars that I think can really add to this effort. And in order for this vision to be realized, Bayinat TV has to take off. Because if this thing doesn't take off, then none of this happens. But I'm actually, personally, I'm totally confident that before Ramadan it will be 10,000 followers, inshallah ta'ala. So I make dua that you guys at least check it out, explore it, start learning a little bit. Because there's hundreds of hours of video on there already. Don't go through all of it. Measure, 20 minutes a day. My recommendation, do one Arabic al-Husna, then do one Dars of Quran the next day, then do another Arabic al-Husna, then do a divine speech. Mix it up. Don't do like every day I'm going to do Arabic al-Husna. Don't do that. Just little by little by little. It's okay. Measured steps. And you do that, inshallah ta'ala, you'll experience a lot of benefit like so many families are already experiencing, inshallah ta'ala. I hope that this vision excites you like it excites me personally. I lose sleep at night just thinking about this stuff. I really do. Alhamdulillah. I want to thank all of you for coming out. I'm really appreciative of the support I get in the UK and the following that is here, mashallah, and the du'as that you guys give, because the du'as are the most valuable assets I take back with me. So I sincerely I hope that you guys make lots and lots of du'a that good comes from these efforts, and that Allah Azza wa Jal guides these efforts, and that are maintained, that our sincerity, all of our sincerities are maintained, and that as a result of being people of the Quran, Allah unites us under His shade on the Day of Judgment. Ameen ya Rabb. Barakallahu li wa lakum.